Hello there. It turns out that we need to import more gas this year because for the UK, energy security does not exist. It turns out that after exporting a record amount of gas, we could well end up not having enough for ourselves this winter. So this is how it works. The UK has loads of capacity to produce gas, as well as offload liquefied natural gas, LNG, from abroad, then re-gasify it for use. But we have virtually zero gas storage capacity of our own, and we refuse to fully utilise our own gas reserves. In contrast, however, apart from a couple of notable exceptions, the EU has low capacity to produce gas and a low capacity to offload and regasify LNG, but they have oodles of storage capacity. And at over 40% of the 170 storage sites in Europe, Germany has the lion's share of them, storing about a quarter of the European Union's storage capacity. On top of that is the gas interconnections between European countries, and that includes the UK, of course. And all that instantly forms an international interdependency. The UK produces and takes in LNG, but cannot use all that gas at once, nor can we store it. So we act as a gas bridge in the summer to fill European gas storage sites via pipelines, as they do not have the capacity to do it themselves. Then in the winter we buy gas from those European storage sites because we have no gas storage to speak of our own. And even when the Rough gas storage site is recommissioned, it will only provide between 2 and 9 days of reserves. In comparison, the Germans have about 2 to 3 months' worth of reserves. Now all this works well in normal times, but no one ever caters for the abnormal times. No one looks ahead decades and thinks the unthinkable, especially politicians. So as far as they're concerned, if we managed with this last year, then we'll manage next year and every year after that. We'll always manage, they say. But right now, after being instrumental in filling European gas storage capacity for the coming winter, we now find that there's absolutely no guarantee that we'll be able to buy some of it back as required for our day-to-day use, not without paying through the nose for it anyway. And I'll say it again, this is not just the Tories that have let us down. This can also be laid squarely at the door of the equally short-term thinking Labour and the Lib Dems, and especially at the door of the unicorn thinking Greens. And they've all relied on the concept of just in time. Well, there's a fine line between just in time and just too late. They've all let us down, and it could cost lives this winter. Nuclear should never have been put on hold, but it was, for purely political reasons, and the same political thinking drove us to eliminate our own energy security. An absolutely criminal thing to do given the huge amount of coal, oil and natural gas we're sat on right now. Anyway, what is it that's so special about Germany that they can store all this gas, and where do they store it? Well, they put it in converted underground salt caverns, and they can store 23 billion cubic metres of the stuff, or about 250 terawatt hours. So one assumes the UK can't do this sort of thing. Wrong, we can. Or more accurately, we should have done. According to a PowerPoint presentation from the UK Carbon Capture and Storage Research Centre, the UK has the capacity to store between 200 terawatt hours and 3,000 terawatt hours of hydrogen in salt caverns beneath our feet, depending on the cavern size chosen. Now, hydrogen is 3 times more energy intensive than natural gas, so it still surely means the UK could have between 70 and 1,000 terawatt hours of natural gas storage. And as recently as 2019, The Guardian reported on a French firm, Storengy, that was creating these salt caverns in Cheshire to store gas, and we do have a few of them. But the costs are high, mainly due to business rates, and that held back further expansion. And The Guardian reported that the government has rebuffed previous calls to support new gas storage, saying the fact supplies did not run out last winter showed the market was working. Brilliant. And you know what? If we do manage to struggle and muddle through this coming winter, the same will be said again. Now, I checked out their website, and Storengy has 14 gigawatt hours of storage in its Stublax facility, a mere gigawatt hours fraction of the terawatt hours we really need. And if hydrogen gas is going to be part of our future energy mix, then why aren't we preparing for it with more gas storage anyway? Or is this just more short-term thinking by politicians? Or is it because you can't store wind and solar power in a cavern? Now, these salt caverns, what exactly are they? Well, according to the Guardian report, they are located hundreds of metres below the ground, and that the £500 million project started in 2007 and has prompted drilling into salt layers 500 metres deep, adding water to turn it into brine, and then painstakingly extracting that over several years to create caverns to hold gas. And not a single mention of earthquakes and water tables. But with fracking at 1 or 2 miles below the surface. And our energy security is put further at risk by the recent shady events surrounding the Nord Stream undersea pipeline explosions. 4 explosions, as I understand it, with 4 leak sites. No one's claimed responsibility, and loads of conspiracy theories about who and how and when, etc. have emerged. How come there are no claims of an accident or some sort of natural cause like tremors, etc.? That tells me it was a definite state player, and I bet all the big boys know who and how. But no one's spilling the beans for some reason, leading to us now having to undergo a security review of UK energy infrastructure, including those pipes, and any future report pointing out how vulnerable our energy pipelines and our information cables, remember, are to sabotage, as well as how expensive it will be to properly protect them, will probably be buried. Now, it's being claimed that this weird Heath Robinson gas supply situation between the UK and the EU isn't all bad. It allows the UK to make money as a gas bridge and then draw down from EU gas reserves in the winter. And the fact we can do this keeps prices down for consumers, it is claimed. But we all know that more UK gas storage would be the perfect fit for us, don't we? But that takes money and, more importantly, time. It's not an instant fix, so politicians aren't interested. But for some reason, they do seem glued to the HS2 rail project. It's hugely expensive, will take years if not decades to complete, and is unpopular amongst much of the electorate. And when completed, it might, yes, might, shave a few minutes off of journey times. HS2 ticks none of the buttons that makes it a political goer, so why on earth is it being pursued? Unless the wealthy will need it to replace local air routes when they get squeezed out by the green net zero agenda, of course. And all Westminster politicians are totally obsessed with net zero. No wonder we have net zero energy security.